Good morning and welcome to the third Laguna Hills, I said it correctly today, board meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and I would like to have Director Baum lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The media is present. Good morning, media. I would like to have a motion for approval of the agenda. So John moves. Second, Roy. All those in favor? Or any comments before we say, any comments? Okay, all those in favor? All right. James, are you in favor? Are you?
Yep.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
I think it's unanimous.
That's unanimous, all right.
We're not in sync.
Right, we're out of sync.
We need-
We're in the sync.
We need-
Okay.
yes.
Approval of the minutes? Do I have a motion? Why don't you make it, Bert? You're the one who approves the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second? Second, John. Any comments? All those in favor? Okay. Cheryl, are we voting by hand today? Okay, good. Okay, report of the chair. Our board table looks a little bit empty today, and one of our directors, Steve Parsons, is on vacation, so Roy is going to be filling in for him. We have 2 director positions open. One director, Bert Moldow, has moved over to GRF. GRF recently had an opening, which we didn't agree with the way it was handled, but nonetheless, we don't want to waste our time with legal issues and things like that. So we let them know we didn't agree with how it was handled. But nonetheless, we let our fabulous Bert Moldow run for the board, and we all voted for him. He wondered if that said something. But we want to thank Bert for all he has done for us. I don't think I could look at a light bulb without thinking about you, which means I think about you constantly. And we want to thank him for how much he worked with Bill. And we know that Bill always does a fabulous job, so we've just given Bill more responsibility. We wish you the best, Bert. And do you realize that the term you got voted on is for 1 more year? Well, no, see, you would have been coming off next year. Now you have to go. So he's going to be around forever. So thank you and good luck to you, and we look forward to working with you. The other director who left is Susie Kane. Susie left for personal reasons, and we're sorry to lose Susie. She contributed to our board, and she primarily contributed Roy. We can't say that, but Susie was instrumental in getting Roy to realize how wonderful being on the board is, and Roy ran for the board. So we thank you, Susie, and for your work on your committees. We wish you the best, and we're happy to have Roy. So because we have these 2 positions open, and I know we've said something in the paper, et cetera, we have Catherine Laster up in the executive office is accepting applications. And don't think that there's a big crowd up there, but I do think we have received at least 2 applications, maybe more. But I hate to have just 2 applications for 2 positions. So we encourage you, if you're interested in serving your community, and if you're interested in working with a wonderful group of people and a wonderful staff to serve your community, this is a great opportunity for you. People who I know in the audience look away because they think I might be looking at them. So Catherine is accepting applications until noon, Friday, May 4th. On May 8th, I believe it's May 8th, it's on a Tuesday at 1:30, we're going to have the candidates, hopefully there'll be a number of them, present their qualifications and be interviewed by the board. and then we will appoint, hopefully be able to appoint the 2 new directors, and then the new directors will be introduced at the next board meeting, which is happening the week after that. We wanted to have the appointing in the boardroom, and it still might move because United uses the boardroom, but they're usually out about 1, so we didn't want to have to come in while they were here. So we might be moving it to the boardroom. And the appointing is an open meeting, correct? Correct. So if anybody wants to attend and root for their candidate, please come. Those are my comments, and again, we thank you very much for the directors who are leaving for their service. So the next item is the open forum. At this point, we welcome members to come up. I believe they filled in cards and give them to Cheryl, so Cheryl will be calling you up. You're given 3 minutes, and the one thing that we don't do is we don't mention names, so we can't say, gee, Rosemarie is the best president we've ever had, because we don't allow names to be used. So if you have any complaint about anything or anyone, we just don't allow names, because that isn't why we're here. So we're here to help you and try to make this a better place. So it's all yours, Cheryl.
Okay, our first speaker is Chris Collins.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. I'm Chris Collins, 3306Q. I'm here to give an update on the work of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village on behalf of qualified residents in need of temporary financial emergency assistance. The more things change, the more things remain the same. One of those constants is the need of some Laguna Woods residents for emergency financial assistance. Some residents face a temporary financial crisis. Others simply outlive their money. Since its inception over 20 years ago, the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village has been responding to the emergency financial needs of residents with assistance for things like medication, utility bills, grocery vouchers, nursing care, medical and dental bills, among other things. The need for such help continues. To keep the foundation viable in the future, we need help. While donations today help the foundation meet present needs, leaving a bequest will permit the foundation to continue its mission in the future. To do so will cost you nothing today, but specifying a continuing donation in a will or trust to the foundation can mean emergency help to residents for years to come. Please remember as well that retirement accounts, such as IRAs, 401ks, and 403b plans, can be subject to ordinary tax and estate tax. From 40 to 60% can go to taxes if left to their heirs. Retirement plans assets left to the foundation will transfer tax-free. In planning your estate, consider leaving a portion of your retirement plan to a charity such as the foundation and leave more favorably taxed assets to your family. Please be sure to discuss any IRA-related actions with your CPA or financial or professional tax advisor before acting. If you feel that any of these giving ideas are appropriate, we suggest you contact your financial and legal advisor or the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village at 949-268-2246 or the foundation at comline.com. Thank you for your generous and continuing support of the mission of the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village.
Thank you very much, Chris. You always do such a great job.
Our next speaker is Lynn Jarrett.
Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning, President and Board. I'm here, Lynn Jarrett, 40101C. I'm sorry, again, I'm having a problem with my voice. I felt it my duty and privilege today to come and speak about somebody that I have to say their name, and that's Bert Moldow. Bert has been so supportive of the 3-story buildings and the Gardenville Association. And we want to, I'm thanking you in behalf of the Gardenville Association, the whole association, not just the board. Bert has seen and gone out and visited buildings, drove by, came went and visited so many buildings. He saw the problems. He saw the issues. He understood the issues. He came to our Gardenville meetings, and people got to the point where they really looked forward to the meetings because Bert was going to be there. We are really, really going to miss him. Even though I congratulate him for going on to GRF and doing great things, he's done so much with the solar and energy and worked so well with Bill Walsh. And Bill's been very supportive too, but that'll be for another day when I can thank him. But today, I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that we so appreciate all of Bert's work and know that he will carry that on to GRF. So thank you for voting for him, and we're going to miss Bert. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Bert Moldow.
Oh, God. If you think we're going to give you a ribbon or something, we're not. A medal.
Actually, I'd like to thank Lynn and Rosemarie for their remarks, but I'm here as a resident, and I have the feeling this board exists in part to make sound business decisions, and I think that's part of the charter. And there's one area that I'd like to request that the board give consideration to. I know that it's going to be addressed probably in September, which is still 5 months away, and that's the laundry rooms. We charge 50 cents a load of laundry. If you went outside, you would probably pay $3 to $3.50 for a load of laundry. We have a fellow mutual that is charging $1, which is reducing the impact on the subsidy that they pay. It's estimated that the subsidy that we're currently paying for laundry is running around $175,000 to $200,000 a year. And there's just can't understand why we are not addressing this problem sooner and perhaps following the lead of United and raising the fee to $1 per load. If we did that, we would get a jump on the 5 months from now to September. And 5 months would represent greater than $75,000 in savings to our community. So I'm making this request that you move up your consideration on the laundry rooms and accelerate and save this community $75,000 or more. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. Next.
Our next speaker is Betty Claude.
Good morning. I'm Betty Claude, 3420, Unit 3E.
Good
I
morning.
may be at the wrong time. It's what I want to address is on the consent calendar, the removal of a tree.
When we get to the consent calendar, you will be able to, is
So
that
I'm
correct?
a
Speak to
little
it?
premature.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
thank
Make
you.
sure, it's coming up very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Betty.
Okay, our next speaker is Monica Hobson.
Good morning, Monica.
Well, good morning. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for your dedication in running the board. I usually watch it on Channel 6 or the video, so I'm somewhat up to date what's going on. However, at the last meeting, I noticed Bert Baum reading a document regarding the renewal of renters. I'm not a renter, I'm an owner. However, I have since done some research and had not only difficulty moving around the various documents, especially when index gives you page numbers, but the actual pages are not numbered. What I'm confused about is why long-term renters, who, for example, have lived here for 5 years or more, would be required to apply and submit documents every year. There are many owners who are either out of the country or out of state. In the documents, it says lease authorization extensions. Party to the lease may request an extension of a time at the end of the original period is shorter than 12 months. It is my understanding that Civil Code 4740 of the Davis-Sterling Act prohibits this for renters prior to 2012. Also, the Unruh Act prohibits this for people with disabilities. It seems to me that some renters who have lived here in the village since prior to 2012 should be grandfathered. And that's about all I have to say on this subject.
Thank you very much, Monica.
I do have the civil code here if somebody's interested.
Okay, our last speaker is Richard Morin.
Good morning, Richard. Good
Well,
to
good
see you
morning.
again.
Good to see you again. I'm from 2395 1G Garden Villa, and my concern is about the pilot program that you have for redoing the courtyards or the breezeways. I think you have 4 units that are going to be redone or remodeled. And my concern is based on the work, what's being done. Right now I'm working as, I'm part of Intertech, which is a building enclosure company. We do building inspections, we do everything from waterproofing through air barriers, etc. So I just want to indicate my concern about some of the things that are being done on that pilot program and some of the things that are not being done. I don't believe they're addressing the planters, which are up against the building wall. It appears as though that's not going to be incorporated into the waterproofing element. So you'll have a direct problem where waterproofing is probably not going to be addressed behind that planter. The stucco actually runs down behind the planter. And stucco, as everybody knows, is wet. In other words, the water can go right into the stucco and it travels down by gravity. So it's going to go down behind those planters unless you do create some system of flashing or something to keep that water from entering the building. As you know, buildings were constructed quite some time ago. So the L metal, which is the metal that goes on the edge of the building where the wall is, it's pretty much deteriorated. There's very little left there. And unless that gets replaced, there's no way to stop the moisture from coming right into the structure. And when that happens, you just are basically deteriorating the structural steel that's in that structure. So it's a very important element, and I think it needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
I did get another request to speak from Doug Gibson.
Hi, Doug Gibson, 5289. A neighbor of ours, Pat Wilkinson, did a highlight type of situation for the trees over on the Aliso Viejo Creek, and it's just an excellent piece. And I happened to see that. We live on kind of the other side of the village, but that is just a marvelous place to go and relax and enjoy. The West Creek down inside Gate 11 has taken a lot of people down into an area very similar to that. It's smaller in space and everything. We have a lot more people that are walking now. But what we'd like to do, and what's coming out of inquiries, is to maybe ask that if the board can get together with the El Toro Water District, GRF, or the Third Mutual Board, because this is a Third Mutual area, we'd like to have some emphasis put to maybe upgrading that a little bit. I talked at James' meeting last week, or 2 weeks ago, and everything else. We have a Gate 11 meeting this afternoon and everything, and there's actually a lady that is wanting to have some benches set up down there so people can relax and everything else. So I would encourage anybody that's close to the Third Mutual West Creek area to kind of go down, take a look at it and see if we can get some support to maybe get some little better looking area down in that situation. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. If you're available, come by at 12:30 over at Clubhouse 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our request to speak.
Okay. Generally, we don't have every board member comment on the issues. We just usually have people who are specific to an issue, try to address it. So I would like either Bunny or Bill to address the pilot program. Bill, do you want to do it, or Bunny? Whichever. Bunny, go ahead. Are you talking into the mic?
Your mic.
My mistake, sorry. I'm not a construction person, okay, but I do know that when they did the stucco, okay, they raised the stucco and the piece that goes along the wall, maybe Bert can answer it better.
No, Bunny, no.
Okay.
No.
Yes, I call it the weep line, okay, has been raised to prevent the moisture. But as far as what they're doing behind the planter, I have to inquire, and I will inquire and get back with you, okay?
Yes.
Okay, now what, we don't have a debate? No? You had your thing, now Bunny said her thing, okay? So, thank you, Bunny. The thing is this is a pilot program, and we have, our staff worked very diligently on this, and at the end of the pilot program, we are going to evaluate how the cost, the success, the response, and at that time, we asked the people who had other ideas, who didn't speak up sooner, to come and bring us their ideas. So the pilot program is still going on, but I would be sure that Ernesto addressed most of the areas, but, in the
Right.
ones that you talked about, because he's very thorough and does a really good job. So we will get back to you. All right, thank you, Bunny. As far as, I'm going to answer the laundry fee, because Bert and I almost pull one another's hair on this. United raised their laundry fee because that was their choice. On Third, we are eventually going to go with a different type of dryer, a better dryer. We're going to be doing a lot of work in the laundry rooms, and we decided that at the time that we put in the new dryers, we were going to charge for the dryers. So we didn't want to have $1 for the laundry and then charge for the dryers, or then change the amount and go back and forth. The biggest thing is that for us, we're a little bit different, just as as Bert has done a lot of work for Third and done a lot of work for the Garden Villas. We feel that the more we start charging people who live in Garden Villas who are not allowed to have washers and dryers, and keep going after them to collect all the money, isn't fair either. In addition, we charge the people in the Garden Villas an amount for having the washers and dryers, and we wanted to make sure that we're not charging them and then charging them for this and that and then collecting the other money, because that would be like triple dipping, not double dipping. So it is certainly, we're not sitting here wasting $75,000 or $175,000, whatever number you threw out. We have a lot of issues there. People wash their clothes in their sink, and then they go put them in the dryer. That's not good. So that's why we thought charging an amount for the dryers and the washers made sense. So we're really, I know the committee has worked very hard on it. I know Bill has been very involved in it. And we are going, and Lynn has been very involved in it, and we're going to be making what we feel is hopefully the best decision for the community. We also, as we all know, have to spend time, and I know Siobhan is working on this, on the collection of the money, because we have some irregularities in collection of the money. Money has disappears, et cetera, or had been stolen, so we have to work on that too. The last item that we have to talk about, or other than the West Creek area, and I don't know who's going to jump on that one, is the renters info. And Bert, could you handle that?
Yes, thank you. Monica, I wasn't exactly sure what your issue was, and my suggestion to you would be, why don't you send me an email, and I will get together with staff and we will answer you. I would, just to give you a background, the reason why we looked into the whole leasing situation is because there were many abuses. We found that renters weren't even staying here a year. They themselves were renting out the rooms. The people who were renting kept changing, and we had no record of it. And unfortunately, I wouldn't say a lot, but there were cases of abuses that really caused havoc, particularly in the three-story buildings. Now, everything we've done in updating our rental leasing policy was done with the concurrence of our legal staff, with our lawyer. It was carefully looked at, and I will assure you that we are in accordance with both state and federal law. We are not doing anything that would be illegal. There was an issue earlier where people were saying they did not want to give their credit score or provide a background check. And after looking into the situation, we agreed that we were going to back off from that. So we are no longer requiring it. Our relationship is with the owner. It's not with the renter. And what we want to make sure is that the owner is aware of his or her responsibility in this area. So if you get back to me, I think we can answer your question in more detail.
How can I get your email address?
I'm sorry.
Your email address?
Yeah, I will give you my email address, or it may even be at the end in the agenda. I don't know. I'll give it to you. No problem.
And Monica, thank you very much for your favorable comments about the chargeable services and our approach to it. It gives me an opportunity to say, and I know Bill might go over it, that we have been given a copious list of chargeable services from staff, and we're going to work on finalizing it and then introducing it back to the community. When you supported our not rushing into the handyman project, and we thank you for it because we were advised by our general manager that that was not a smart move, and we decided we really should listen to him every once in a while. So, who was next? Who had their hand up next? Was it?
John.
John.
To Doug Gibson on Gate 11, the best place to address possible improvements is at the committee level. We have an M&C committee meeting next month on the 7th of March, excuse me, the 7th of May. And I would recommend that you come to the meeting and we can talk about some possible improvements.
One thing, mostly landscape improvements.
Are they mostly landscape improvements? Then another possibility is the landscape meeting.
Yeah.
I've been to the landscaping meeting, and that's already on their record, and I'll certainly follow up on the MC too.
Yeah.
I'm just looking for the vehicle, and there are people that are showing interest in how to direct them to set that up.
Yeah. Well, that's what my comments is. Well, you make, after your meeting, let's see, this afternoon, if everybody agrees, then you make a request to the rest of the surfaces. Then we'll turn around to the landscape staff will look into, and then we'll go from there, whether we're going to work alone or with Altor Water together. Yeah. So that's just make a request first. Thank you.
And if you didn't have your meeting the same day as the board meeting, which I've already teased you about earlier this morning, we would be able to have been there and talked to the residents of Gate 11. But I think that, I've heard about this walk, and I haven't been on it, there myself. So I think that it would be very interesting to have us bring it up and go look at it and come up with some ideas as to what you want. So, if it's a few, I don't know what it actually entails, what you're interested in. So we could either go to landscape or M&C, because we'd have, if we want, we'd have to get their input from both Bruce and Ernesto. So, James, so we're done. Okay, so we are done with the open forum and the response from the open forum. Yes?
I just had an answer for one of the residents that's asked for a director's list. We do have a public list at the front counter that they can obtain if they need that information.
Thank you. Okay, so who has their phone on? Okay. All right, so the next thing on the list is the update from BMS, Director Scheinwald.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Marcy Scheinwald, a member of the BMS board. For those people perhaps watching at home who are not familiar with the BMS board, there are 9 members, 3 appointed by each of the boards, the 2 mutuals and GRF. I am a third mutual appointee. Our basic function is to provide oversight to the administration and in the village and all aspects of employee productivity. We constantly benchmark and monitor such items as compensation, benefits, IT development, organizational issues, legal matters, union contracts, and customer service. I'm sure this board is well aware that the BMS board came into existence in early January, functioning 2016. That's almost 2.5 years ago. At that time, we faced a number of challenges. There were 20,000 ID cards out for people who had passed away and moved. There was a backlog of about 5,000 resident calls, and there were 400 people on the waiting list for garden plots. I can say that there has been progress. I will not fool you by saying that progress hasn't been rocky at times, but it has been challenging and overall steady with positive improvements for the village. To facilitate that progress, we meet bi-weekly, and on a rotating basis, the directors of the different departments meet with us and discuss their issues, their obstacles, and their successes. What I'd like to do now is to bring you up on a current update of what we've been doing and what's been happening in the village. First, there has been a real strengthening of our administrative staff. Siobhan Forster is here today. She is our new Chief Operating Officer, and she brings extensive experience from Riverside, Pasadena, and Covina. Carrie Weldon has also joined our staff, and I know many of you have met with her. She's our new Human Resources Manager, and she brings extensive experience from Catalina Island and private industry. Third, Eileen Paulin has recently joined our staff, and she's our new Marketing and Communications Manager, and tomorrow she will be meeting with the BMS board to discuss her plans and her vision. With regard to our monthly meetings with department heads, we recently met with Chuck Holland, who outlined for us IT developments and media developments. With regard to IT developments, they have been extensive. For example, automated bank statement and reconciliation, an automated transportation inventory, an improvement of the village website, tracking work orders electronically in customer services rather than the tedious paper trail that we had previously, online credit card payments in resident services. More importantly, security vehicles now have real-time incident and dispatch alerts tied to GPS. There's been improvements in the village planner ride services, and with regard to media services, there have been continuing improvements in bandwidth. There is a piloting study of whole home DVR service involving 10 homes in the village, and I've been told there's a waiting list of 80 waiting to go on that project as well. Finally, for those of you who watch Village Television, we have a new morning host, Lisa Hart, who you can see. With regard to Carrie Weldon, she brought us up to date. We met with her also recently, March 21st, on employee developments, and she covered such topics as employee retention and turnover, an updated statistics on accident, and an upcoming wellness fair for employees. I should note that the employee newsletter, which came out, I believe, last week or the week before, highlighted 5 departments in the village who were accident-free for the past 3 months. Finally, we met with Chris Spar, who oversees resident services, and I'm happy to report there is no longer a backlog of resident calls. Rather, due to the reorganization and recruitment and training of staff, in 2017, over 97% of the calls were answered and handled. But more important, with regard to Third Mutual, there was a significant drop in the number of pending work orders over 120 days old, from 210 in February to 69 as of April 1st. There is also a proposed plan to use special technical staff to handle broadband issues, which we hope will speed up responses. And there is a system now to set up auto pay to process broadband payments, add and cancel services, and schedule installations. Finally, a redesign of resident services is in the works, and it is hoped that that will streamline the check-in process and eliminate standing while waiting. I would like to end by noting that does not mean that there are no longer challenges ahead. There certainly are. But going back to my earlier picture 2.5 years ago, that backlog of resident calls is no longer there. The garden plots are available. It is my understanding there is no longer a 400 waiting list. And the ID cards for people who have passed away or moved have been purged. As a member of VMS, we will continue to keep you up to date, and it is our hope that you will join us in meeting the challenges ahead. Thank you.
Speaking of challenges,
there are many.
It seems because sometimes the directors, we get messages and we get a number of them, and it seems that for me, I get more landscape questions. Although we have seen a marked improvement in the letters to the editor, it's almost shocking. So we thank you, Bruce. But I think that we're not sure ourselves, and I know it's something that we put on our strategic plan as to the communication component on how people, and maybe that would be something interesting for us to either do at VMS or at Landscape or VMS. What is the process? Somebody sees a dying tree. Do they call into resident services? Where does it go from residents? I'm not really sure myself.
Well, certainly they can call into resident services.
Yeah, but we have been told that it sometimes goes from there into the black hole. We're not saying that that's the case because there are Chris and Bruce in the same row. I just think a better understanding of that because it seems that M&C is like, moving a little bit differently. And I know that that's something that we hear about. So I would love us to understand if you could even have somebody bring it to the board meeting. What is the flow? What happens to it? What happens when you call in? Do I send a picture in? Because at one time we were supposed to take a picture of something and send it in, but I would keep sending them to Brad, and I can't ask everybody to do that. But the other day, I was there taking pictures of things I saw, and I said, well, I'm going to be doing it this way, and this isn't, I know we don't want to start sending pictures to resident services, so I think a little bit of a flow would be a great thing for us. And then, of course, the other thing that I keep getting messages about, but I know that we're trying to work on that, is parking. We get messages about parking a lot. So, and that's not bad, because before it was about everything, so we've gone down, quite a bit. So, and parking, we're going to work on with our parking committee, so we're not asking VMS
I was
to
going
do
to
that.
say,
No, leave
lately
you
that
alone.
isn't on my
Right.
job list.
But I think some better understanding to present to the residents even of what happens, when you see something, what should you do, and when it happens, this is how long it should take, and stuff like that. I think that would be a good thing, if you can. So, now Bert has his hand up, so you're not going to ever sit down.
I think I will at some point.
I just want to expand on your comment. In fact, we put a note in the breeze about this. And what we're asking residents to do, if they have a problem, please call resident services. That's your first move. And now they're open 6 days a week. And if it's a real emergency situation, you can call security, which is on alert 24/7, every day, all the time. So if you get no response and it's not an emergency situation, we ask you to wait a week. And then if there's no response, call them one more time. And then if you fail to get a response, and that would be very rare, because I believe that all these requests are answered within a week, then you can write or call our executive assistant to Brad, Catherine Laster, and she will handle that complaint. But what we are asking is, don't start writing Brad on day 2. Don't try to go to a different staff member, please. Don't write to the board, because all that does is muddy up the whole system, and it gives people extra work and makes everybody much less efficient. So what we're trying to do is have a responsive, efficient system to answer your complaints. And I think if you follow this, we think the board does, then you'll have better success.
Yes, I've got a comment.
Yes.
In furtherance of what Bert said, our control system on landscape issues is a ticket control system. A ticket number is issued, and that, to the resident, is their golden key to follow up.
Okay, the other thing is, and this goes along to what Bert said, when you get Catherine involved, she is absolutely outstanding, Catherine Laster. I mean, every time I look in the wall, I want her to be the employee of the week, the month, the day, because I could walk over to her and say, remember the letter I gave you 2 weeks ago at 5 o'clock on Tuesday? She'll say yes, and this is what, and she'll just go through her thing, find it, and this is exactly what happened to it. So her follow-up is absolutely incredible with the different departments, so that's a good point. So are we
Her
finished?
phone number is 597-4265. That's Catherine Laster's phone number.
And I want to thank you. I think what Bert emphasized and John emphasized on contacting resident services and making sure you get a ticket number so you can track whatever the issue is, very important. Thank you for your attention this morning.
Thank you, Marcy. Okay, so the next item on the list is our first time that Siobhan. Bill told me I have to say Chiffon.
No.
So, no, in my brain, and then I could say your name better. We welcome you, and we are ready for your report, and then be ready for our questions.
Thank you, Honorable President, members of the board. It's my honor to present the CEO update today. Mr. Hudson's in Sacramento representing Senate Bill 1128 today. As you probably are aware, but I'm not sure if our audience is aware, Pool 4 reopened on April 9th following the replastering, replacement of pool equipment, and fixing of the hot pool leak that kept it closed for some time. So that's good news. The maintenance efforts continue in third. The Prior to Paint program, for example, has completed 60% of the 2018 work to date. And the exterior paint program, more than 33% of the 2008 work plan is complete. The waste line remediation, 71 buildings have been completed to date, 33 buildings have been invoiced, and we estimate completing 98 buildings this year by the end of 2018.
We ask you not to report on third because the departments report on third. We want you to report on the community.
Okay, thank you. As a reminder, we have the South County Senior Summit coming up on Friday. This includes a complimentary breakfast and lunch. It's at the Performing Arts Center. It's hosted by Supervisor Bartlett, the Office on Aging, Age Well Senior Services, and Laguna Woods Village. The theme is Life Changes in an Instant. Are you ready? And our Chief of Security, Tim Moy, will be a distinguished speaker at that event. Advanced RSP is required by calling the Office on Aging, and the telephone number for that is 1-800-510-2020. I am pleased to report.
Excuse me, are there any special buses running to that or anything?
I would have to follow up on that.
Because I don't know what the answer is, but sometimes when there's going to be a big thing like that, people get worried about parking. So sometimes, so I don't know.
Okay, I'm looking at Eileen's.
Yeah, and if there is,
We're encouraging carpooling.
okay, well, sometimes they've done, maybe a lot of the people here didn't work when we had carpooling. So we sometimes, all right, we're encouraging carpooling, but could you check into whether you're doing any special buses?
Yes, ma'am.
Like sometimes there could be a bus from Clubhouse 5, everybody parks over there and the bus comes. They've done various things, so I don't know what they would be.
I'm also pleased to report the renovations at gatehouses 4, 10, 11, and 12 will be commencing soon. On April 11th, the GRF Maintenance and Construction Committee approved a contract award for the project, and this continues the initiative to modernize the gatehouses in our community. And the item will be considered by the GRF board at its next meeting on May 1st.
And first they modernize the gatehouses.
Correct.
Which is a really good thing that Brad came up with, which was to go into what we had and do it very cost efficiently versus going and replacing the whole clubhouse, which was done in the past for $1 million. So I think he's able to do them for less than $200,000. And then you modify the gatehouse, and then you put in the
security system, the arms,
Okay.
yes. This is the first part of that effort.
And then you will improve the landscaping.
Similarly, on April 11th, the GRF Maintenance and Construction Committee approved the contract for the paddle tennis and pickleball court renovations. This includes the design and renovation of the existing courts to install 7 paddle tennis and pickleball courts over the existing courts at Gate 12. The project includes the new post-tension slab, interior fencing and gates, court surface coating, netting and striping, and lighting at 4 courts. And this item will be considered by the GRF board also at its meeting on May 1st. As mentioned in the VMS update, the queuing system in resident services is about to be launched. It will be launched in May. And this will benefit our residents greatly by streamlining the check-in process and making their waiting period in resident services much more comfortable. At the same time, this benefits staff by organizing the visitors in the queue and facilitating data collection on the types of services we are providing to our residents. So we're very excited about launching that in May. Similarly, our Information Technology Department will be launching the resident portal on May 1st. This allows for credit card payments for assessments and chargeable services. So we're very excited about offering this to our community.
And when is that going to be?
May 1st.
Okay,
Can I ask you a question?
go right in.
Yeah, Chevron, I was just wondering because Brad keeps saying that Uber-like bus services or transportation service coming up. And I was just wondering, when you are ready, please, make some sort of statement like how far are we allowed to go? What kind of facility are ready for us to serve, and how soon we need to make arrangement if we want such services.
Okay, we will do that, sir.
Thank you.
Quick update on the whole home DVR project. The department started installations this week. There are 160 people on the waiting list for the whole home DVR. We're currently scheduling residents that have DVRs in place, and then we'll be opening installations to all of our residents. 200 to 300 services will be completed by the end of this year. So that's a very exciting advancement in that area. And then in terms of the digital,
Excuse me, that was tested in various homes, and was the response been?
positive.
You're looking at.
I'm looking at Bill, because Bill was a test.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
It's a very positive response. It's a fairly complicated process to set up, so it takes time. And then it takes a while to familiarize yourself with the new control. But there are a lot of advantages to it. You can do a tremendous amount of recording. It has a tremendous amount of storage. So, of course, when you record it, you got to sit down and watch it. Who's got the time, right? Hopefully. But it's quite an improvement. And I could go into details, but I won't. But it really is quite an improvement.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Okay.
And then lastly, the digital broadband improvements continue with the analog channel removals, which frees up bandwidth for exciting new cable operations. On April 9th, we completed the latest round of analog channel removals. We have 30 analog channels remaining, and the next round of removals will occur on July 9th. And then by the end of the year, we will be a fully digital cable operation. And for folks who have analog televisions that need to be disposed of, they can contact Resident Services and have them removed for free. So please remember that if you are changing out your old analog TV for a new digital television set. And that concludes my presentation, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Gosh, we're being so loving today. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the consent calendar, and I have a few comments on that. So before we go, we have to remove E because we have some edits on E. So I think we would move E to unfinished business on the updated committee assignments. So are there any other comments on the consent calendar before we vote on consent?
Do you want to make a motion that we?
Okay, yes, that's a good idea. I did it wrong.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Okay.
We're going to make a motion to approve.
The consent calendar as amended?
Okay, and we have a second? And now then we could discuss it.
Okay, I second it.
Okay, so now we're going to discuss it. So the one thing is we had that one amendment, which I made before we even had a motion, which is shame on me. But are there any other items? Okay, yes, Bert?
Well, there are a couple that, like in A, where it says approval of room additions, and it says removal of soffits and ceilings, but that's not listed in there, if you read it carefully.
I'm not, what's not listed?
So we have to move that to discussion. You want to move
Okay.
that to discussion?
Yes.
All right.
No,
so we're good.
I don't understand why you want to move it to discussion.
Because
I might
he has
have-
questions on it. Okay?
And that's, okay.
All right, no, unless
All
you
right.
want to answer them now, but right now, we're supposed to just be saying, I can't vote for it the way it is.
All right, thank you.
So are there any other ones on the
Yes.
list that we
Yes, I
want to
have-
remove? Okay, yes,
They're-
finish, go ahead, Bert.
They're mainly typos or minor deletions, like number 2, it says deny, but it doesn't say deny what? They're denying removal. And the same thing is for 4. So for some reason, the approval says what it's for, but not the denials. So that's just a bookkeeping.
Okay, so it should say deny tree removal or deny blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Okay. So,
So that's it.
all right. There any other comments on the consent calendar before we
Yes.
vote on it? Yes.
I just want to make a comments on the landscape, the item 3, approval 5152 Avenida.
Despacio.
Tree removal and the non-standard landscape design. Well, I want to clarify that because the resident submit to landscape, redesign their landscape.
Right.
Landscape staff look at, we approve the design. So this removal tree and design has nothing to do with the yellow stake program.
Right.
This is just redesign the landscape, and we prove it, and we're going to maintain it. So
Okay.
that's comments I'll make.
All
Just
right.
comments. Thank you.
Okay, so now, before we go any further, we have a resident. And we need your name and manor number, please.
Betty Claude, 3420 Unit 3E. And this is in regard to item B, number 2, the denial of the tree removal in front of my building, in front of my unit. And it's in front of my unit, not just 3E, but 2E and 1E. All 3 residents signed the application. I appreciate the directors, the committee members who came out and looked inside my unit and saw the tree where it was located. Unfortunately, I really should have taken you into the bedroom where it's more obvious what the problem is, where the tree has grown so high and well, with the winds that we've had, my husband spends 99% of his time in that bedroom. So it's disturbing to him. I've lived in my unit for over 30 years, 32 years. 1986, I purchased my unit. We have thoroughly enjoyed it. In 32 years, I have never asked the board to do anything major. We have maintained our unit, upgraded it with the times, have thoroughly enjoyed it. We would like to continue enjoying our unit. Even the landscape supervisor that contacted me, he even said that it was poorly placed, this tree. There's 3 trees in front of the building, magnolia trees. When I lived in Gardena, the magnolia tree was out by the curb. But we have lots of trees to enjoy. And if this tree were somewhere else, I would thoroughly enjoy it. But I certainly do not like where it's located. Now, I am willing to pay for the removal of this tree. And I
Okay,
would,
Hey,
I
wait,
would like you to
please let her
reconsider.
finish. Please.
Okay, thank you.
Well, my answer is you can appeal. And the strong reason we denied the first time is because only thing you stated is for viewing. Now, our policy is we cannot remove a tree for pure viewing purposes. But you can appeal if you say,
Okay,
okay,
all
well,
right, well, we're not,
you
we can't.
appeal if you say that because of this tree that hurt your husband's health, then, that's a different matter. So please, appeal, repeal, make a request and appeal to our request. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. So basically, we've had a verbal appeal on this one. Can we move it off of the consent calendar? And then give her the opportunity to put in a written appeal? Can we do that? Because we wouldn't want, because the resident came and expressed her opinion, so we can't say, oh, we're going to vote for it anyway. So we're giving them the opportunity for us to look at it again. So will we move it off and then we will look at it again, all right?
Yeah.
So therefore, you're coming to this meeting paid off, at least this far. So that's a good thing. We wouldn't want to say, oh, we'll forget it. Okay, so we are now have a consent calendar. We'll put it under unfinished business and then note it that we're going to appeal it. Okay, so we basically have the consent calendar with a motion to approve with the First Amendment, which was to take E off. And now we are going to,
Gail, put it under unfinished business.
And B1.
so we're going to B2 is moving under unfinished business. So that's it. So that's another change to the consent calendar. So we have two things that have moved off of the consent calendar to new business. Is that correct?
And then
3.
A?
was removed for
Oh, because he wanted clarification. So A1, clarification. So we have three things moving off of the consent calendar for some additional discussion. So we vote for the consent calendar? We have a motion we need a motion to amend
We had a motion to amend the consent calendar.
with one item. Now we want to.
Well, we just said it to amend and then we went on and discussed, and we wound up removing 3.
Right. So we have to vote to approve the amended consent calendar.
Yes, that's the way I look at it.
Okay, so do we have a motion?
We had the motion. and
Okay, all right, so it's seconded, so all those in favor of the amended with 3 things off consent calendar? Okay, good. It's approved. Okay, I just got a note from Jules, and he had an emergency, so he should come this afternoon. All right, so now we're going to go to unfinished business. Unfinished business will have A. So on A, do we want to discuss what is needed for the clarification?
I think that, first of all, Bert, can you restate your issue? And then we've got
The
Kurt
way it's
Wayman.
stated here, it's a recommendation to approve the room addition on a private garden and roof over entry, which is described there. And then it says, and removal of soffits and ceilings, which is not,
Right, and I went into Kurt Wyman's office late last week, and we talked about it, and he's in the audience right now, and I'd like to have him come up and tell you why that is,
okay, that would be fine.
okay?
Good morning.
Good morning.
What exactly is your question?
The way A1 is written, it says recommendation to approve 5098 room addition on private garden and roof over entry, and then it says, and removal of soffits and ceilings. Now, I know we have discussed that and approved it, but it's not part of this,
The alteration includes removing the soffits in the living room of that manner.
okay, because that's not detailed at all when you look at the write-up for it.
Well, yeah, when you look at the variance request that you see, that's been through committee, the committee saw it in committee, and we just give you a brief summary of that when it comes here.
Okay, my only comment was there's no discussion at all about that, and you have, as you know, extensive discussion of everything else, so I was just curious about that.
Right, we just try to summarize it when it comes here. If you'd like, we can make them a little longer.
Well, as long as you say it includes it, okay, and that's everyone's understanding.
Okay, so.
Bunny had a comment?
course, I like a more extensive summary and more detail. And the only reason is because some of us are not part of all of the committees, and we have to vote on it. And so we like to have enough information to vote on it. And my question is on this one, and I just want a clarification. It says private garden roof over entry. So private garden, I'm thinking, and I'm not quite sure what the floor plan is of this, but I'm assuming that's in exclusive use area or in the footprint.
Exactly, it is.
Okay,
It's a
so my suggestion is that, so that there's no confusion to the audience, that if we're going to do a room addition, that we might add that this is within the footprint because
That's a
of our
great point,
rules,
Bunny. That's
you
a
know,
great
for
point.
the common area. Yeah.
And that's a wonderful point, and I know that you do this in very thoroughly.
Right.
But the basic thing is, especially because we're not given common area, that if you do the original footprint thing, it would be, nobody could go back and say, well, look at they allowed that one. So that's a good point and very easy.
We can do that. Our
Okay.
plan had been, we only approve at the committee level things within the footprint.
Right, but
If it wasn't within the footprint, that we would tell you.
Yeah,
But we
but-
can roll that back.
Okay. We know that that's what you do. We know that that's what the committee does. We know how thorough you are. But for the fact that this is public record, this is the meeting notes, this is on television, people could read this online, it would just be a great idea.
Actually, the first paragraph, it says, approval of a variance to construct a room addition on half of the existing footprint.
Where does that say?
In the
Okay.
first paragraph. Resolution 11A, page 1 of 5.
All right, so we've had some discussion about the language, but we have not at all changed anything about the recommendation. So do you have, we should have done a motion first. So do we have a motion to approve this?
I move that we approve, I don't know whether you want to call it 12A or 11A. but
No, it's 12A.
12A, as is.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, being that we've already discussed it? All right, so the next item, we're going to do a motion first.
Okay, is this concerning 3423?
Yes, and our motion is going to be that we appeal that the.
Yeah, let the resident appeal to, then the landscape committee, and we'll go out tour and reconsider.
So our motion is to allow an appeal on the
Allow.
denial of the tree removal.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Allow
So,
the
so
appeal.
that's the motion, second?
I second.
Okay, all those in favor? All right, so, Siobhan, could you please work with the resident on what she has to do the appeal correctly? Like you have to write a letter, whatever, so that it's done. But it is not denied now, it's on appeal, okay? All right. The next item is a motion to approve the third and GRF committee assignments. We need a motion, and then we could discuss.
I move that we address the issue of updating this list.
Okay?
And
I
Second, all right. So now let's look at the list. All right, what page is that on?
it's 11.
11E.
11E.
Okay,
11D, huh?
all right. So here are the changes, Cheryl. On the landscape committee, John Frankel is oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page. On the energy and technology, first of all, don't we change the resolve date on the top?
Yes.
All right, we
should
have
be
to change that
changed.
date. We're going to add a voting advisor on energy.
Actually,
Oh, we're going to
yeah,
do more than that. Okay, go
well,
ahead.
since we're trying to combine, make this energy committee a community-wide energy committee, rather than, that's a good question. Do we put these folks as these are voting members because they're from United and GRF boards. So would like to add from United, not as advisors, but underneath John Frankel's name, Juanita Skillman from United, is it Carl Randazzo?
Is he a board member?
He just was elected
Okay.
to the United Board to replace Steve Leonard. Okay. For GRF would be Bert Moldow and Jim Juhan.
Could you repeat that for me again, please?
What?
Could you repeat the change?
Okay.
Is that just on energy?
We're going to add under John Frankel's name. All right? We're going to do this. We're going to add Juanita Skillman. We're going to add Carl Randazzo, if I have his name correct, both from United. Make a note that they're United. We are going to add Bert Moldow. Make a note he's GRF. And Jim Juhan. Make a note that he is GRF as well. Leave Steve Leonard as an advisor. All right.
Jim Juhan off.
Okay.
Is he still a resident of this community?
As far as I know, he's still a resident of this community. So, and until we hear differently, we'll just update it if it changes.
And then Jim Juhan will obviously go off as an advisor.
That's right. Jim Juhan is no longer an advisor. He's part of the committee.
On the next page, we have to take both Moldow off as chair of M&C and put Bill Walsh on. And is Steve Leonard still a voting advisor to M&C?
I haven't been told differently.
Okay.
On the landscape, Bob Rivera, and it hasn't been.
Okay. So we want to take him off?
Yeah.
All right.
Who is this?
Bob Figuera.
Because he couldn't afford.
Okay. All right.
For the time.
And then on the GRF committees, the only change that I know of is John Frankel is not an alternate for landscape because Susie's off, so John Frankel is on the landscape committee to attend GRF. And I don't know about Steve Leonard on PAC. I'm not going to be concerned about that. That's up to GRF to update that list. So we have those few little edits, and as soon as we appoint new directors and find out what areas their areas of interest or expertise are, we will update it once again. Yes, Roy? Do you want to be on more committees? Because we'd be happy to be next.
No, you're doing a real good job of putting me on just about everything, which was my question, because last week you wanted to add me to the executive hearing committee, but I don't see my name there.
Okay, could you put him on there?
Roy, that was a mistake, Roy.
That was a mistake.
You shouldn't
I'm
have
still
said
learning.
anything, Roy.
Well, also, we probably should put Roy in on the landscape, GRF landscape committee.
No, no, no,
Roy,
no, no,
Roy,
no,
don't
no.
let him volunteer you for that.
No,
Right,
no. We have two people for GRF
I'm already
landscape.
on the
Okay.
landscape, yeah.
No,
What?
the GRF committees, the GRF committee, I usually have two people to attend. Sometimes we put an alternate. If a member of the board cannot attend a GRF committee meeting, they should try to find, or they should try their best to find somebody else on the board. Usually it's a member of the committee to attend. So if, for example, if Jules or John couldn't go to landscape, they should call you.
Yeah, well, maybe you should put my name on the first.
Okay, so could you put James as the alternate on landscape for GRF? Because this is a first. He's volunteering
I
to
should.
be on the committee.
No,
I'm
no,
putting his
I
name.
used to be the first. You know, the chairperson always the first.
Well, I was trying to give you a break
Oh, well, great, thank you.
because of
Thank you,
your,
thank you.
so if you're unhappy with that, we could put you on.
Put me on, you know.
All right,
because,
so that means we'll put James on, and John, you're going to go back as an alternate, being that I have you on everything anyway. Is that okay with you? John? Yes, all right, good. Okay, so we got that. What?
Can I make a, I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
All right. I looked up the election schedule, and I have one question. It says the candidate statement is due 8:15, and the ballot information, the printer is due 8:13. But I think the statement goes on the ballot, if I'm not wrong. So could you check those dates? Maybe they're reversed.
Okay, I'll check on those dates.
Yeah, because that would be something that would impact Martin and Chapman. Because they put the information on the ballot.
Yeah, I'll need to check with Martin and Chapman on
Yeah,
that.
because what Cheryl specifically did is she put election Martin and Chapman part, because we wanted to get that
Right.
under control. So, okay, so now we have the committee all changed up. Did we vote on it yet?
Nope.
No. Okay, so we made all of these little edits, and we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of any, nobody else is volunteering to be on any? Okay.
I'm voting for the motion, I'm not volunteering.
All right. Okay. Okay, got that, Cheryl? Everybody voted for it. Okay, so now, that was our unfinished business. So now we're going over to 13, which is new business. And at this part, I'll turn it over to Bert. Are you going to go over the fact that you don't have to read it?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm going to make a
all
little
right, good.
speech about that. So upon advice of our attorney, it's not necessary for the full resolution to be read. These can be found in the agenda packet, which was distributed with this meeting, or you can go online at our website, www.lagunawoodsvillage.com. If you go to the home page, you click on Residents, then you click on Third Laguna Hills Mutual, then click on Documents, and then you go to Agenda. And the agenda not only has the agenda, it has the resolutions, even though there's another separate category that says resolutions. So today, we're going to look at 2 revisions of our alteration standards. There are 40 of these, and we are going through them, or our alteration staff is going through this at the request of the Architectural Committee, and they're being updated to make them simpler so that it's easier to get consent from the staff rather than to get a variance from the committee and the board. And they reflect the new technology and materials and construction methods, and they're brought up to date with the building and mutual, with the building codes and the mutual rules. So the first one, and there are only 2 here, would be the resolution, which is entitled Revise Alteration Standard 14 Fireplace Installations. And there are essentially 3 changes that are important or need to be stressed. First, no new wood burning or gas installations, fireplaces, are permitted. Second, you have to keep to the essentially original design and dimensions. Third, you're required to have a carbon monoxide detector, and probably most important, you need spark arresters. That's required, and the whole impetus in these changes is to prevent any or lessen any kind of fire hazards. So I move this resolution, Madam Chairman.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. There's just one correction on 3.1. It should say spark arresters are required for all fireplaces.
No, the subject of that is installation. You mean 2.5? The subject of the sentence is the installation, and that is singular. So I believe that's correct. So it's the installation is required.
And the spark arresters are not required?
So where do you want to make the change?
Okay, the basic,
3.1.
3.1, it says spark arresters will be required.
Well, will is a permissive, it doesn't mean it's
so
required.
R, you take the will out, and you just say
Oh,
R.
you
R.
want to take the will out?
Right,
So
'cause there's
there'll
no
be less will.
And you just say R.
Yeah.
Okay,
When you say
spark
will, it's
arresters.
almost like saying might.
I get you, thank you. That's a good
Okay.
point.
All right.
So we want to move it with that correction.
Yes. All right, so, but we're not voting on it because it has to have a 30-day.
Right,
All right, so, but we made a correction. So we had a
Right.
motion and we corrected it, so now it moves to
Right.
30 days.
okay,
All right.
so the next one would be 13B. It's alteration.
Wait a minute, I have a motion. Do we have to just say, okay, we vote, we agree that it has to be corrected? Yes, and then go to 30 days? So is that by
That's
consensus?
consensus.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that information, are you going to take that information to Kurt? Okay.
Yes, I've redlined it in the minutes, and that will go to Kurt.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the second change now would be alteration standard section 18. It's a new resolution. Gutters and downspouts. This was last revised in April 1996, so it's 22 years old. So it's almost as old as some of the people living here. So you cannot, and here are the important points, you cannot install these gutters and downspouts where it will adversely affect the drainage. You can't install it where the hangers will damage the roofing. And the gutters and downspouts need to be seamless and match the existing downspouts and gutters that you have. So I move this resolution.
And all we do is move it to 30 days.
Yes,
Okay, so we don't do a resolution.
right.
All right, so this goes to 30 days. All right, so our next, there's no discussion, no comments, but remember, you do have 30 days to make make comments. All right, so the next thing is committee reports. So let's all be tough on him. This is Roy giving the committee report for Steve, so go for it, Roy.
This is a report. There will be no questions.
No. No, that isn't the way we do it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to head it off at the pass.
Yeah.
Cheryl, let's see, we got the numbers, great. This is the financial report as of February 28th. If you look at the first slide, the income statement for third, total revenue, $5,615,000. Total expense, $3,729,000. And we wind up with revenue over expense of $1,886,000. So we're operating in the black, which is the good news. Now, that total revenue breaks out between operating and the reserve. And if you look at slide 2, you will see that our assessment revenue related to operating is $3,147,000. Our non-assessment revenue is $200,000 for a total revenue of $3,347,000. Total expense, again, is $2,977,000, which gives us net revenue over expense of $370,000. Without depreciation, it's $394,000. So again, we're operating well above our expenses in the black. Third slide, please. The non-operating, which is known as the reserve, assessment revenue sent to reserve is $2,192,000. The non-assessment revenue is $77,000 for a total revenue of $2,269,000. And the total expense taken is $752,000. And the net revenue is $1,517,000. So we're doing really well on that. Next slide, please. Through February, as I mentioned, third was better than budget by $1,526,000, primarily due to the timing of invoices for outside services. We purchase a lot of outside services to augment what our staff does. And getting vendors to get the invoices in is always an interesting process. You would think that the first rule of business is get the money. A lot of our vendors don't seem to think that's important. Timing of invoices, building structure replacement program will begin later than anticipated. Moisture intrusion program, the work is in progress, invoices are pending. Roof replacement, preventive maintenance program was completed, but the invoices are still pending. Next slide, please. If we look at operating expenses of $2,977,302 and you divide it up, the pie chart shows that, again, over about half of our expenses are employee compensation and related. And then 30% for utilities and telephone. The rest of our expenditures are a very small portion of what we spend our money on. And then if we look at the reserve fund balances, you'll see that the beginning balance at the beginning of the year was $28,094,000. Contributions and interest, $2,269,000, and expenditures $752,000. The current balance is $29,611,000. Now that may sound like a lot of money, but when you consider that we have 6,100 units in third, and if we get a really good sized earthquake and we have damage and require building replacement, 29 million isn't going to go very far. I figured it out the other day that an 8-unit building like the one I live in will cost about $1.6 million to replace. And how many buildings do we have? A lot. So even though we're showing a relatively hefty reserve, let's not get too excited about that. You can never have enough reserve.
Don't cause panic now.
I'm not causing panic, I'm just saying. That is augmented by insurance, and
We are better prepared for this than we have been in many, many, many years.
I know, and I have wrestled with this issue for.
We're going to wrestle with you soon.
Hey, see, if I do a bad job, I won't have to do this again. The monthly sales report has some interesting trends. For all of the mutuals, the average monthly resale last year was 73 units. This year it's 60. However, the trend for March is better than January, February, so we're increasing. We're seeing for all mutuals, total sales volume is an 8% decrease first quarter of last year compared to first quarter of this year. But, and here's the good news for all of us owners, the average resale price is gone up from $303,000 up to about $347,000. So that's the good news. As of April 10th, there were in Laguna Woods Village 171 listings. There were 77 co-ops listed. There were 12 towers listed, and there were 82 third units listed. In escrow for the entire village, there were 107 units. And of those 107, there were 47 co-ops in escrow, 0 towers in escrow, and 60 third units in escrow, which means, in very simple terms, that we have very low inventory in the village, which is good news. And that may be what's driving the prices up, in fact. Now, when you look at the third resale report, We're down 14.8% year over year for the first quarter, and we're down on total sales volume 3.2%. But again, we are up 12.3% for the average resale price, going from like 365,000 up to 410,000. So in third, as you know, the condominiums can be more expensive, and that's what's showing up in these figures. So there's good news, certainly in terms of value. In terms of the rental, the leasing report for February, or for March, actually, we have in third 1,644 units that are leased. That is 20% of the total number of units. 27, that's what I said, 27%. 27%, thank you. And that has stayed pretty much the same, month over month. The next meeting of the Finance Committee is May 1st, 1:30 p.m. in the boardroom, and that concludes my report.
Just to add to finance, we are going to be starting to have budget meetings. So in third, because we are such a preparing kind of group, we're having pre-budget meetings. That means we get together to analyze and have input and plan and come up with our thoughts based on our strategic plan, past expenditure, year-to-date expenditure. So we have the three components that we're going to get together on 4/27. So we're doing it almost a month before the budget start. On 4/27, we're meeting in the morning to go over landscape, and we redid up the strategic plan, and everybody got copies of it who were on the committee. The only thing is the things have to be filled in. And then on the 30th, also I believe in the morning, we're going to be working on M&C and energy. That might be pretty long that day. Might be.
Yes.
Yes, okay, good. I probably will have our lunch cart outside. So we're doing that. And those are open meetings too. So Lynn, if you want to attend any of those, you're welcome, because it's really just so that when we sit down with the department heads and they say something, we can say, did you think of, or what about, or we want to, kind of things, because that's how we originally came up with, I think, the trash chutes and the doors and all the problems that we were having there. So that's on 4/27 and 4/30, our pre-budget board meetings. And we're not asking, Siobhan, we're not asking for staff to attend because it's our little work sessions, but we might ask you to attend. I'm not sure yet, but if you're available. Okay, so the next committee report is by Director Walsh, and that's Architecture Controls and Standards.
Yes, we had a fairly productive ACSC committee meeting. Two of the items were brought forward to the board and approved today for a 30-day comment from the residents. At the last meeting, the department head, Mr. Wyman, reported that a task force is working on updating the dumpster policy. I can't give any details on that, but I look forward to hearing about what the new dumpster policy is going to be. Staff was asked to review the current washer and dryer standard and then submit it to the Maintenance and Construction Committee for review, and that may come up on May 7th at the third M&C meeting. A couple of things. In discussion of the adding solar panels to multi-story buildings, 2- and 3-story buildings, and putting satellite dishes on those buildings, rather than creating a standard, we're probably going to go back and visit that as potentially all of those requests will become variances. Right now, we're looking at the standard, and it gets very complicated if you start trying to allocate roof space when you have multi-story buildings. So I suspect this is going to become a case-by-case basis. Right now, we don't have a plethora, if I may say, or a large amount of people asking for solar panels to be put on their roofs. But we still do have the occasional request and I know of one or two that were on 2-story buildings. So we'll be discussing that. They were also going to be talking about garage doors at the next meeting, and that next meeting is going to be on Monday, the 23rd, which is next Monday. And that's all I have to report on that.
Okay. Thank you, Bill. And we have a report of the Maintenance and Construction Committee, which will be done by Dr. Frankel. I just made you a doctor. Usually he's the doctor. Director Frankel. And it
Thank
might be augmented by Director Walsh.
Thank
Okay.
you. Director Walsh, I'm playing in the village games, and so I can't make the next architectural meeting. I'm playing golf that day.
Okay? Do you
Okay.
want to, does somebody else want to attend, or? No, don't raise your hands real quickly.
Wait a minute. Maybe Roy's an alternate. No.
Oh, I'm a permanent member of the committee.
Let's see. We'll make you an alternate. Well, I usually attend that, so.
Yeah, that'd be great. Alternate.
Okay, on M&C, I had 5 items, but walkway lights and the hiring of an energy consultant will be discussed by Director Walsh. You want to go ahead? Walkway lighting?
Yeah, I'll do that under the energy report.
Okay, fine. And so the other 3 then, we discussed the power outage that occurred, and we're gonna work, staff is working with SCE to have them come to the village and discuss their protocol on how they handle that.
Excuse me, John, but not only are we going, I know Ernesto is having him at the M&C meeting, correct?
Yes.
And again, our M&C meeting is an open meeting, and power outages are such a big thing in the community. So they're going to discuss their protocol. We're going to discuss our concerns, and then staff is also redefining our protocol when it comes down to the simplest things like, okay, the power went out. Is somebody going to go check the timers and fix those? So all of the things that happen, but also recommendations to the residents. So this is a big thing that should be part of the disaster task force, because for us, it's like a constant happening. So
Thank
when?
you.
So the M&C meeting is when?
On May 7th, at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
In the boardroom here.
And thank you
1 o'clock,
for-
excuse me, that's right. Thank you, Roy. No, that's right.
1 o'clock, because we have to
That's
start
right.
earlier.
Well, we've got so many meetings to start at 1:30, I just.
Okay, so go ahead,
No, but you're
John.
right, 1 o'clock.
Thank you for enhancing my report. I usually just give a synopsis, but your detailed enhancement helps. We also talked about dry rot. We have a dry rot consultant on board, and he will be reporting at the next M&C meeting, which is on the 17th of May. And the last item I'll mention is the contract has been awarded for 2,700 linear feet of Shepherd's Crook. And that's occurring along the wall at Avenida de la Carlotta and Ridge Route, and we're going to enhance the security along that wall due to some homeless circumstances that occur. And that's the extent of my M&C report.
Okay, on the Shepherd's Crook, Brad actually has pulled back on that. Not saying that he doesn't want to do it, but he wants to make sure that we're doing it the best that we possibly can. So he didn't want it to be, he wanted it to be very effective, but, so they're just looking at it a little bit. I mean, we haven't stopped the project, but he's redefining some aspects of it. And hopefully we can get a new update on that. Go ahead, Bert.
I just had a question about the dry rot. Have they finished their study now? Is this a complete report that they're going to give? The dry rot?
Yes, the
Yes?
report that will be presented.
Okay,
is,
good.
Will show what they found and what it will cost to fix it.
Okay.
Okay, so, All right, so the parking and golf cart task force is meeting on Friday, is that correct?
Yes.
At, I think it's at 1, Cheryl, could you check that?
It's at 1:30, but I'm not sure where it
No,
is.
it doesn't say the date and the time, so if you could just fill that in, that would be important.
The time is 1:30 on
Friday.
Fridays.
In the Sycamore.
Okay,
Okay.
and that, again, this is an open meeting, and if anybody has comments about parking, because I get plenty of email comments, please attend that meeting. Yes, Bill?
Yeah, John, Bert Muldow called me last night, and he had talked to Ernesto, and the consultant on the dry rot is supposedly going to talk to staff here shortly. You might want to stop by Ernesto's office and talk to him about that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I usually request that I sit in on that sort of thing. And I will do
okay.
that. Whether he approves my request or not remains to be seen. but-
All right, and the garden
I'm not
village.
done with parking.
Oh, you're not done with parking? Oh,
I-
I thought you were done. All right, go ahead.
My second item and my last item on parking is that we have implemented a new aggressive policy of monitoring the parking use by vendors and staff. And we were told that it's very aggressive and successful.
You know, I saw a truck illegally parked, construction vehicle, and it didn't have anything in it. But then one day I walked out and I saw it with like a warning or a ticket on it. And the next day I saw it parked way down on the street. So therefore, it was successful, and just in the sense that somebody paid attention to it. Some people say they're giving tickets out and the people come right back and park there. So, but I know we're really working on it. So then, the next thing is the Gardenville Association meeting is May 10th. That's the one that is run by Lynn. And tomorrow morning at 9:30, not 9 o'clock, it says 9 o'clock on here, we're having a rec room subcommittee meeting. And just to keep you up to date, we already had a pre-meeting meeting to get extra ready for this subcommittee meeting. So that'll be tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, yeah, Wednesday.
Are you going to bring some of those things forward to the MNC, or is it just, are we going to talk about 2019 in those terms?
Actually, all of the stuff at the rec room subcommittee is done from the rec room budget. So it
Right.
doesn't hit the third budget, but sometimes there are, yes, that would be a good point, because there are sometimes things in the rec rooms that should be paid for by third. So yeah, they could come up and we would bring that to M&C.
Would you, okay, I haven't sent back my final comments on the agenda for the May 7th meeting to Lori Chavarria. So if, after your meeting tomorrow, you've got some items you want to
Well,
put on that.
you could come to the meeting if you wanted.
Well, I
That's
could.
okay.
I could go,
Right.
well, I'm attending for Steve on the
All right.
finance committee.
No,
tomorrow
yeah,
afternoon,
if
so-
anything comes up, we will let you know.
Okay.
I just would like to point out at the Gardenville Association on May 10th, Eileen Paulin and I will be there to talk about communication and communicate with everyone in the Gardenville Association and elsewhere.
Yeah, we expressed to Eileen that we're not consistent. Sometimes we use a letter, sometimes we use a flyer, sometimes we, whatever. So we want to be efficient and consistent. Yes,
And
Bill?
I want to say that Bruce Hartley did a fabulous job at the last Gardenville Association, and there were a lot of questions and, about our moratorium on yellow stake program and a few other things that he got clarified. So really appreciate staff attending those meetings. Much appreciated.
Okay, the next committee report is by Landscape Director Tung.
Thank you, Rosemary. Sherry, can I have the first slide? Well, first thing is landscape committee work on the long-term, short-term strategic planning several times. And also we want thank Rosemary, our president, leading the show us how to do the strategic planning for landscape. So we appreciate that. In the last landscape committee, we discussed we work on several items. Top on the list is fire prevention, and staff recommends us work on the procedures, and they pointed out the top priority area. In other words, the most easily get brush fire will be along the west edge of our community. In other words, along El Toro Road at the southeastern border of the village, and also along the northwest boundary of the village between Barbara's Lake and the Gate 11 area. Okay, next slide. And we're staff also working on the tree trimming because we realize that there are a lot of trees very near the street light. We don't want those trees to block street light. Therefore, we have to add a more frequent, in other words, yearly tree trimming on those near street light. Because of that, so we have to slow down. The staff is working on, because in the future, the tree trimming will be specimen specified. So, for example, the first thing come to mind, staff suggest that we're going to elongate the tree trimming of a crepe myrtle because they're very slow going, and southern magnolia, camphor, and Australian willow. Probably normal trimming cycle is 34 months. So those are slow going trees, we're going to be elongate. But how long, that's what we have to watch and experiment. Okay, next slide. And the thing is, thinking about our fiduciary duty. In other words, we have a $250,000 set as a modernization fund, and we want to get that project started. Well, because early on, last year, because of the storm, so staff really didn't have a time to work on those projects. So, but we got to have the money. We want to start the project. Therefore, now the current proposal is starting to take care of the worst landscape area first, and then we still also can call it beautification. So the top on the list will be Gate 9 entrance, Barron Slope, Gate 11 slope, and Gate 14 slope. Now the the fourth item, Hunter Alta slope, because during the meeting, landscape meeting, different director have a different opinion. So we may want to discuss in our closed door meeting. However, because of their involved issues, in other words, some directors think that could be conflict of interest, but the majority of us think it's just a fiduciary view. So we'll discuss in our closed door session. But then, for the best interest of a community, get the project started and take care of the poor slope, and then we'll work on the replanting better drought-resistant plants next year. So that's the proposal is. Next. And then, of course, we also work on updating landscape manual. We discuss the role of landscape division, the role of residents, and for the role of residents in the view of the landscape division, we need spend time on education, because a lot of times when the resident make a request, says, well, I want a tree removal or tree to be trimmed. Well, it's not going to be like a second date. So the resident got to understand that. And also that we work on the tree trim program. A yellow stick program is on hold because we have to reevaluate that. And we'll define what are the chargeable services. Of course, safety is also an issue.
I have a question.
Yes.
I know that we're working on the chargeable services list for M&C. Is there a chargeable services list for landscape?
Yeah, we'll work on that.
You're working on
Yeah,
it.
we'll work on it.
Have you ever, I'm going to look at Bunny. Have you ever, is there one in existence?
Not that I know of.
I mean, because we knew in M&C there was one in existence. Have we ever had one, ever?
You
Oh,
know,
no,
I
this-
think there's never been a published one.
Yeah.
Okay, but I know landscape, you know, has an idea of what they want to charge the resident if they choose to remove a tree.
Okay, I think
Pay
that,
for it?
yeah, I think that this would be, I know chargeable services for M&C are different between United and Third because of the things that come in a co-op and a condo, but for landscape, I believe it's pretty similar. So we should check with United also
Okay.
to see if they have any chargeable service lists for landscape and maybe work on that with their, with Bruce or whatever, so that we
Yeah.
would have a similar type of thing, because there's
Right.
nothing worse than, for us, it's, $5 to cut down a tree, and for them, that was a joke, that was
Well,
a joke.
that's a little
$500,
hard to define because of a different kind of tree, different size of a tree.
Right, the size of
Yeah.
the tree, I know, but
Yeah.
we don't want it to, because sometimes we come up with differences and we don't, between the two mutuals, that shouldn't be, so we
Yeah.
want to just try to work with them.
Yeah,
I
we'll
think that
check
would
with
be a
the
great idea.
United,
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be a
Well,
great idea.
in the past, I had a tree I wanted trimmed, and I had to pay for it.
Okay, so
And
that's,
this is a number of years ago.
well,
Well,
we
the-
charge you for everything.
I noticed.
No, no, a lot of times we have a guideline for remove the tree. However, at the different situations, because of the residents' situation, we feel based on our principle, we cannot remove a tree, but for the convenience, so the committee approve, remove the tree, but however, we don't want to spend the money, and that we call the charge to the
Well,
resident.
this was trimming, not.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have another question, and it really isn't my question, it was Bert's question, but he was afraid to ask you. No, I'm kidding. So, no, on the Yellow Stake program,
Yeah.
we have it suspended because we're evaluating it.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
So we don't know if it's going to be reinstated or if it's going to be, so we're totally evaluating it.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the problem was, maybe this is for good information for Siobhan, is that we don't have a good record.
No, how about no records? Is that
We
better?
have,
That's
no record of,
That's better.
which tree, which plants were part of a yellow stake. Therefore, the staff have to investigate in survey the area, and if they found there are trees are sort of not fit to our standard, then we'll go talk to the resident to remove them. But if that's where we see whether that's what came from the yellow stick program or they just randomly planted them. So we need to find out. And then, of course, if the tree turned out to be very nice, and then we'll maintain it. Yeah, so that's why there's a lot of uncertainty so far.
Yeah, but there also has been overuse of the yellow stakes.
Yeah,
Like
because
some-
people wasting too much water.
Well, they also plant things wherever they,
There's another issue. I think that landscaping in the past has planted, and it was not part of the yellow stake program. They would plant, but there was no yellow stake involved.
Well, if the landscape planted it, that's part of the
Right.
landscape job.
right, but we're going to evaluate that program. Okay, so anything else? We keep interrupting poor James. Yes, John?
I want to add to his comment regarding fire risk management for those residents who are tuned into this meeting today. Included in the agenda is a 5-page report on fire risk management, including a color copy that shows Laguna Woods and where the city, as part of its general plan, and part of its safety element, has, in concert with Orange County Fire, OCFA, has developed this plan. It shows where we are with respect to fire.
as it relates to landscape.
Fire risk management.
Right, no.
That was already mentioned
Risk
by-
management as it relates to landscape and fire, or fire overall.
Fire risk management as it relates to Laguna Woods Village.
So that could include landscape, it also includes fireplaces, it includes,
No, it does not include fireplaces.
so
only
it's primarily landscape and plant related.
OCFA and their relationship to us and what. the- what
John,
they
is that
consider.
is that in the wilderness area that surrounds us?
Yes.
Or is it inside the community?
Not inside
It's-
the community.
It's outside the
This
community, it's
map
outside the
shows
walls of the community.
How the
Ultra slope.
outside risk
Right.
affects the community. And without going into any detail, if you're interested, please get I expect this is online and the agenda is online.
Okay, excellent,
Shows
thank
that.
you. All right, so we will not have a report of the Laguna Woods Village traffic hearings because our director is out with a emergency. So we now have a report from the Communications Committee, and your meeting was,
Communications?
yeah, that's what we're up to. We had landscape, we didn't do, so it's this,
May 9th.
May 9th, so that's it.
1:30
Okay,
in the boardroom.
all right. And we're excited and looking forward to it.
Well, Eileen will be there, and we're going to discuss where we are in communications.
Okay, we're up to G now. Director Walsh.
Yeah, we did not have a landscape meeting last month.
No, it's not landscape,
I
you're
mean,
on energy.
Energy Committee meeting last
God,
month. I'm reading
we're
the
all-
wrong line
We
here.
are just all, I think you're all must be
I think
hungry
we're
or
getting,
something.
I'm getting rummy here. We didn't have an Energy and Technology Committee meeting last month. We are having one on Tuesday, May the 2nd at 1:30. I would encourage anybody who's thinking about applying to be a director on this board, that they come to not only the Energy Committee meeting, but they also come to the M&C meeting in the next 2 weeks, because I think they can get a really good idea of what's going on with the initiatives in this on this board. Even though we didn't have a meeting of the Energy and Technology Committee last month, a couple of things have come up. We have put set of pilot lights out on the walkways behind the 2354 and the 2355 building. We, as a result of viewing that pilot, we've come up with a specification, and as far as I know right now, staff has prepared an RFP. I think the last I heard it was at purchasing to review it, but we're going to probably, that RFP for the walkway lighting in gates 5 and 6 is probably going to be issued imminently. The other thing is last Thursday, was it last Thursday? Yes. Staff, along with a number of members from each of the different boards, GRF, Third, and United, met with two different consultants, energy consultants. We were quite impressed with all of them and their abilities and their skill sets, but they were also impressed with Laguna Woods Village. They were impressed with our progressive attitude about looking to the future of the community and alternative uses of alternative energy sources like solar. And one of the things that came up in the discussion was that members of our city council and our city manager, Chris Macon, had that previous week attended a conference of municipalities up at UC Irvine with Southern California Edison, and the subject of community choice aggregation came up. And we have invited Chris and or any of the other members of the council who attended that meeting to come to the May 2nd Energy Committee and talk to us about what they learned from SCE regarding community choice aggregation.
Which you might define.
What's that?
You might define what community choice aggregation.
Yeah, it's not bad. The community choice aggregation is basically, we would go out to somebody that was not Southern California Edison that would offer the community a energy electricity specifically at a lower rate for the residents. Southern California Edison only offers this to municipalities, so we as an HOA would not qualify. But we as a community, as the entire community, all the HOAs and the city, could look into this and see if we can get a rate reduction in the amount of kilowatts that our residents are having to pay. Right now, most of us are still on a tier rate, where the first 500 or 600 kilowatts that we use, or 300 or 400 kilowatts that we use, depending on the time of the year, are charged at one rate, and then we move into the second tier, where the rate goes from 17 cents to 25 cents, and then it goes higher. Well, with the advent of all these smart meters that we have in our community and all our residences, it allows Edison to actually do and track time of use of electricity. And they've got proposals before the California Public Utilities Commission for residential rates to go to expand that time of use time period in an afternoon, which could significantly impact the cost of residential electricity. And Edison has come out and publicly stated that they want to shift the cost of electricity away from commercial ventures where they feel they've overburdened them over the years, and they want to shift some of that cost into the residential area. So community choice aggregation, if we could find an aggregator that has a huge solar farm or a big wind farm somewhere in the state that wanted to sell us energy at a cheaper rate, it would be something that we would consider. So that may be coming down the pike. And that is part of the rationale for having one energy committee and having GRF, United, and Third involved in that energy committee, so we can leverage issues like this for the entire community and not just do it mutual at a time or with GRF. And basically, one last thing. Thursday is Earth Day, or the celebration of Earth Day, and it's going to be at Clubhouse 1, and I believe, Siobhan, it was at 1 o'clock, is it, or noon?
I'll have to get back to you with the time. I apologize.
I didn't bring the paper with me. I left it on the desk at home. But just to let everybody know, I've really been impressed with this board for a number of years, even before I got on it. And Burt Moldow, back to Burt Moldow. This board has, I think, a really good ethic about looking at alternative energy. And I think that we talk a lot about the cost savings for everybody, but as seniors, when we've got, most of us have children or grandchildren, or a lot of us have children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and we're going to leave a legacy. And part of that legacy is not only saving money on energy, but basically reducing the carbon footprint. And I really commend this board. I think going into the future of this board, this board will continue that ethic, and I'm really glad it's to be working with all of you. And thank you very much.
You didn't mention that we're hiring an energy consultant.
We interviewed them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he did mention it.
We're going to interview them. We haven't hired them, but we are. That's part of that process.
Can I ask you a question related to that?
You sure may.
Where is United Energy in all this?
U.S. Energy?
Yeah.
U.S. Energy is a consultant for those different projects, whereas an energy consultant would give you some ideas of what kind of technologies are available out there to address things like our electric infrastructure. For instance, right now, GRF is looking at replacing the backup generators with a diesel generator. Is that the right solution? Okay. U.S. Energy would go out, and that's what a consultant would do. It would say, look, these are the technologies that are available to you. These are the applications of those technologies. Whereas U.S. Energy would come in and we would have them consult for, let's say we wanted to replace all of the electric service panels on all the Gardenville associations. They would be the ones that could go out and give us information on those specific things. It's kind of an overlap, but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, because one of the things, they were involved in the walkway lighting.
That's
weren't
right.
they? And now you're going a different direction, really.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you've decided that you wanted the taller fixtures.
Right.
Is that their recommendation, or this is based on what your observations have been?
This was based on our observations.
Yeah.
So basically, we had them in and out, and we had somebody else come, we had another vendor come in
Right.
and look at it, okay?
Who gave you a better solution, from what I understand?
Well, they gave us a different solution,
Okay.
one that we liked better, okay? But what's going to happen now is it's going to go out to bid to US Energy and to these other, and a couple of other vendors. So we've got some good vendors on board.
But U.S. Energy is not supplying the equipment.
US Energy would go out and tell us what they found out as a bid,
Okay.
okay? Thank you.
Okay, so the next report would be from the Water Subcommittee.
Thank you.
And we do have to thank Director Tong for going out, and he decided that our water bill was too high, so he went out and read the water meter himself and realized that they've overbilled us by $21,000 or something like that. So that just goes to show that we shouldn't accept things when they look high, and we thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, first slides, please. This is exactly the point I want to point out. Yeah, well, I don't know whether you can see but I want you to direct your attention to the first line toward the right side. I particularly capitalize and make it in large words, for number 2956. Now, what happened is here is usually when we get a water bill, the very first thing I do is I order the highest meter with tier 3, tier 4 water meter units. And when I did that, just last month, this month's or February bill, suddenly the building 3160 shows 2,956 unit of tier 4. Well, you know what that implies? If that indeed the case, the area will be flooded, so many units. And so immediately I sent an email to Mark Stout, our plumbing division. I said, please take care of this. But then I said, okay, I just had to go there, check it. And I went there, the area, asked the resident, I said, are there water problem, leaking problem? This is no, and I see everywhere it's dry. So then I look at the meter. Now, you probably cannot read the number. The bill says the current number from their bill is 17948, 17,948. But then I look at the meter that day. In fact, that was Wednesday last week, way after they sent us a bill. The actual number that day was 15005. So I immediately realized they misread the meter. Therefore, I immediately sent an email to El Toro Water, their vice president, Dennis Katafi. And then, of course, they said, oh, we found it today too. Huh, what a coincidence. And then the following day, Thursday last week, and they immediately correct their error. And that's, you see at the bottom, you see the red part. Also, they say negative 2956. So my message is to General Manager Shafan, we gotta watch everything they send to us. Yeah, although they say, oh, we just found today too.
Yeah.
Wow, how coincident. But anyway, after that, so actually that meter, 3160, only have 55 units, and there's nothing is on the tier 4. And so it's a more than $21,000 difference because each tier 4 is more than $7. Okay, so that's that point. And then with the correct water bill, then the next slides. Again, I don't know whether you can see it, but the very bottom line, you can see now that our tier 3 total cost was $1,057.92, and the tier 4 is only $1,600, $1,610.92. It's just about the lowest. And because this is a winter time, and people don't water too much, and there's not much leaking, and we're fixing the leaking, as I will show you the next slide. Okay, this is the second important point. Every month in our finance meeting, because of accounting department, they don't get water bill or electric bill, so they have to forecast. Well, of course, the word forecast, they don't use forecast. They call it accrued value. Now, on this slides, if you look at the last to the right side column called accrued value, and then the total, the third from the right, is the bill we get. Now, if you look at the bottom line, February, what they accrued says, we used the water bill was $359,657. But when we get actual bill, the total cost was $182,599. What's the difference? The rightmost line shows $177,057. That's almost like 100% overestimate. So, but they don't have a choice. So what my point is, don't pay too much attention to those accrued utility bill. In fact, that $177,000 amounts to about 6% of our total operating expense. So the utility, instead of 30%, is only 24%. But they don't have a choice. So just don't pay too much attention on those accrued utility bills. Okay, the last slides, and then because we have those, the list, the top list. Now, the very top one, 4021, the next one, 5365. They still have a tier 3, tier 4 units, but those have been fixed in late February. That's why the February bill still shows, but next, the March bill shouldn't have those. And the plumbing division is work on the 3016 and 3326. And also, they already fixed the leak of 3005, under slab leaking. And also they found 5300 have a toilet leaking, and the residents are going to make a request to change the toilet. And that's all I have.
Well, good job. Thank you,
Thank you.
James.
I have a question, James.
Yes.
If I have a leaky toilet and it's probably just a valve or something,
How do you test it?
well,
We have
do
a blue tap. I can give you, so the way to test
No,
is.
you're jumping, not that I can recognize that it was, if I saw it.
Okay.
I needed it repaired. What's my best course of action? Would it be called resident services, or would it be?
Well, my suggestion is you call resident services, but also you go out, have a comparison. Because I don't know our resident services can give you the best price.
Okay, so you say go get some bids?
Yeah, go get some
Okay.
bids. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, it's always good to compare prices. So the next report is the Resident Policy and Compliance Task Force. Bert, Director Baum.
We are going to have a meeting on the 25th. It's not on there. It's Wednesday afternoon at 1:30. Everybody is invited to bring their questions, and we hope to see you there. Thank you.
May I have a question?
Yes,
I have a question.
yes.
Where is it going to be? In the boardroom?
It will be, no, it's not in the boardroom. I think it's in the Willow Room.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not on
not a committee, this is a task force, so generally we don't have task forces
Yeah,
meeting
it's
in the
not in the
boardroom.
boardroom.
And the other thing is there a highlighted topic for this meeting, or is it?
No, it will be a general update on
Okay.
where we are.
All right. Okay, so the next thing is if any of the board members have been at meetings in the past month from GRF, you could report on it. Otherwise, this is just a listing of the upcoming GRF committee meetings. So does anybody have anything that they want to report from any of their different meetings?
Yes.
Yes, John?
Well, first off, I want to thank Siobhan. I'm going to talk about the GRF M&C Committee. And you've already mentioned gatehouses 4, 10, 11, and 13, and you also mentioned pickleball, so I don't have to discuss that. Thank you. I will mention Aliso Creek, that they have done a terrific amount, M&C reported, of cutting the cattails. And that is a major issue in the creek that goes through United. They also mentioned the emergency generator system that supplies the community center. And I'm going to be talking more about that in disaster control because the amount of power will be limited in an emergency circumstance. And finally, the last thing I'll mention is that we discussed the Performing Arts Center project, and they're paring it back down. But it still has not been finalized, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of about $10 million. And how we're going to fund that and what the phasing will be is still to be discussed by GRF M&C, and that's the end of my report.
Okay, so at this time, we have all of the reports from the different committees are done. We have
No,
our,
I've got Mobility and Vehicles Committee.
well, I asked, so, okay, so,
Let me find my notes. We discussed the Planaride system, and it's working very, very well. That's done in conjunction with our bus system. And by the way, for your residents who are not familiar with the boarding times and the schedules for the bus system, it's available at the front desk downstairs. And please pick up a copy. And it's also got the phone numbers. And it's important to note that there is a different phone number for an advanced request as opposed to a one-day, same-day request. And I could give the phone numbers now, but please stop by and pick up the report, which I'm showing here. We're averaging 650 riders per day on the Planaride system, and 95 people a day. And it's working very well, and they're very pleased with it. They did talk a little bit about our bus systems, our buses, and they're on a grant system, and as when the grant expires, we're replacing them. We have a brand-new bus, terrific bus, and we got another one on order to replace the older buses that we're using now in the bus system. And that's the extent of my M&V, GRF M&V.
Madam Chairman?
yes? Did you have something you wanted to report?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is that?
Security and Community Access Committee did not meet last month, but their next meeting is April 26th at 1:30 in the boardroom. Disaster Preparedness Task Force, however, did meet, and we had a presentation from CareMore Health, which is related to Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. And the most important part of the presentation related to disaster preparedness for diabetics, which being one, I hadn't really thought about it, but making sure that you've got your medications lined up and safe and able to get to, and there are a whole lot of other things to be concerned about. It's a very interesting presentation. Also mentioned was the Senior Summit on Disaster Preparedness, which Siobhan mentioned, for this Friday at 8 a.m. over in the Performing Arts Center. And finally, at your request, we asked the committee to consider a power outage protocol for our security folks so that they know what to do when the power goes out.
And Siobhan is all over that.
And Siobhan is thankfully all over that. End of my report.
Okay, so is there anyone else who has a report from GRF? Okay, so now we're up to, is there anything we want to add to future agenda items? Okay, so it is now your opportunity to have a director comment. Does any director have a comment? We're actually going to be done with this part before 12 o'clock, so we might have to stand around and sing or something.
No, I've got a 6-page comment that I.
All right, good. Or we could ask Roy to talk about all the committees he's on. Okay, so I'm going to start on this side. Roy, do you have any comments? No, ma'am. Burke?
Well, I wanted to show my slides of Brooklyn, but I don't think there'll be enough time.
All right, I'd like to see him. Okay, so, all right, Bill, do you have anything?
Nothing more.
James? John? I would like to thank all of you publicly, and I know I do it on one-to-one, for stepping up to the plate to fill the vacancies and to keep us going. You are a great board, and it's probably one of the most rewarding things I've had in this community is getting to know and getting to work with all of you. So therefore, all of you who really want to work with some good people, remember to apply. All right, thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned? Well, see, it says adjourn on, oh no, it says this meeting is recessed to go to closed session. Thank you. Recessed, all right.